What's going on, guys? I'm Getting Customs here. Welcome back to episode 3 of the ZMODELER non-ELS series. Now, I understand it's been 6 months, don't really want to talk about it. I have actually pre-recorded the rest of the whole series now and scheduled it for upload, so hopefully, fingers crossed, as long as all editing goes well, rendering goes well, the series will be finished very, very soon. Now, before this video starts, I do have an announcement to make. I have officially opened up a Patreon for further support. I get a lot of comments asking if I do lessons or this and that. So I thought it'd be a good idea to open up a Patreon. You can get multiple things such as one-to-one lessons. You can get text chats with me and I can help you out and whatnot. And just check out the page. There's some cool things over there. Some cool perks and everything. So yeah, go check out the Patreon. Another thing I want to address is a lot of people have been complaining that my Discord link has expired, so there is a new one in the description and one on screen right now. I have been away not only from YouTube, but just I've been away from everything recently, from my Discord, from gaming. I've just taken some time out, you know, with COVID and everything. I'm sure a lot of people are cooped up in their bedrooms and not allowed to leave the house. They're in the same situation as me. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the video. So in today's episode, we are going to work on getting rear facing lights to work. Now, a lot of people have had a lot of confusion with this and misconceptions of it about rotating dummies and all this and that. And I'm just going to put it simple for you. It is the exact same as what we done last episode. You just have one extra step, but I'm going to run you through all of it. Now, last episode was 6 months ago and I have actually lost the files for the car that we worked on together on the video. But we're going to just start a new car here. It will be the same charger, same everything. We're just going to work on the rear facing lights. There's no differences, no nothing. It is the exact same as last episode. So if you have the same car as before, that's perfect. You can just add on to it. If you don't, you can just copy this. It's fine. Another thing about last episode, about when I changed the color of the car from white and black and blue, whatever it was, to the colorful template, you do not have to follow that step. So if you are stuck on that step, just completely skip it. I did mention that in the video, but a lot of people have been stuck on that too. So you can just skip past that bit and forget I even said anything about that. Now, if you are up to date on the episodes, you should have your ZModeler working by now, and you should have your car files working by now. So I'm going to get everything set up in ZModeler. I'm going to show you where I download these parts and where I get these parts, and I will link them in the description below. So here is the base model we are going to be using for today's episode. I'll mention again, everything I use in these videos are available to the public and they will be in the description below. So I'm going to go ahead and download this for us on the desktop and I'm going to show you what light we're going to be using on the back of the vehicle. So a quick tip for you guys that I've been doing a lot more recently. In terms of my organization of when I make cars, I now like to make 4 folders. I like to make a texture folder, an asset folder, a model folder, and an export folder. So I have all my things in places where I'll easily find them. That obviously is personal preference, but that is what I do on every single vehicle I make because it makes it so much easier, especially when coming to import your textures into your YTD. Okay guys, so now that we've got the charger downloaded, I'm literally just going to drag this into my vehicles file here. Just to reiterate, this is literally just a folder on my desktop called episode 3, so I know where to find everything. The lighting I'm going to be using on the back is some lights from 5.0's Wheel and Dominator dev pack. I'm going to be using an 8 module Dominator on the back. I'm not going to copy any type of real life agency, sorry. I'm literally just going for the video. I'm not trying to make anything here. I'm just showing you how it's done. So the link in the description is for this Dominator. When you get to the link, just click on it and click here where it says dev Wheel and Dominator pack. It will download instantly. Just open it up. And then just throw the file into the assets folder or wherever you can keep track of where it is. Okay, so now we got them downloaded. We're just going to open up ZModeler. Once ZModeler is open, we are going to open up our car file. Okay, now that we got ZModeler open, I know last episode, I don't know if I covered this, but I always change my viewports. My viewports are these 4 boxes. There sometimes could be 3, there sometimes could be 2, and there sometimes could be 1. The way you change that is you go up to View, you go to Layout, Split top level, and I usually do 4 panes across like that. And the way I set it up, usually on the top left I have front, so you can change it by clicking here on each window. Top right I have top, bottom left I have left, and on this bottom right I use user. Now user is a very handy tool, or a very handy viewport, sorry, that I haven't actually covered. you can literally zoom in as much and as far as you want, and you will not go through the car. Now, there are very different controls to this than just, click and drag. To actually move the camera around, to pan the camera like this, you hold down your scroll wheel button and move left to right like that. To move around the camera, you have to hold left alt and then click and drag, and then you can drag around it. And you can zoom in with your scroll wheel, or you can hold left alt, hold right click and drag in like that. I really recommend using user, as it is very, very helpful and efficient to easily see if your lights and stuff are in the right place, if they're clipping, if they're not clipping. So I highly, highly recommend you use the user view. Okay guys, so now that I've got that out of the way, we are now going to merge in our Dominator. Okay, so when you merge things, if your car already has some components on it, you want to make sure that anything you see here, any of these names, do not have the same name as something that is already in your hierarchy. This could be anything like tier 3, EMIS, Lin 6, anything like that. If there's anything like that already named that in your hierarchy, it will not merge. It will just simply not merge. But I know I don't have that, so I can just go ahead and click all and then click merge. Now, upon merging these dominators, you'll see they're rather large. In the readme file, there are actual dimensions, but I don't really care for them because this is, like I said, I'm just showing how to set the lights up. I'm not going for perfection. You'll see it comes with a 2 module, 4 module, 6 module, 8 module. You just want to delete, or you just want to choose which one you want, delete the others. I'm going with that 8 module. Now inside of here, if we click the plus, we have the Lin 6 or the tier 3. If you know anything about lights and modules and all that crap, then you'll know the difference, but I'm not going to go into that this episode as it's literally just a tutorial. But I'm going to go with the Lin 6 module because I think it's got a much cleaner outlook than the tier 3. Now, upon that, you'll see that it looks a bit retarded, but that's only because the LODs are all here. LODs is simply just the distance of the level of detail at a distance. You don't need to worry about that for now. We'll cover LODs in a later episode. But for now, just keep the L0. You can delete the L1, L2, L3. Okay, now that you've done that, we're going to move everything out of its dummies and move it into the hierarchy. So the way we do that, or the way I do that to make it quick and efficient, is I click whatever's in the parent dummy, with the children of the dummy as it's also called. I click the top one, click the bottom one with a shift click, and you'll see it selects all of them. And then I just drag it out of the hierarchy like that. You'll know it's out when it doesn't have any trees. These are called trees or branches. Do it with that as well. And I believe these two are simply just the dummies, so you can delete these two. Now, this is just the config for this Dominator. Every single light or light file that you guys use will be different. All different developers have different ways of setting it up. This is just for this one. But the way of making the light to work in game, the process of making it a non-ELS light to work in game, is the exact same with every single light. I see a lot of people saying, oh, this light's for ELS only, non-ELS only. It's all false. Anything can be a light. Hell, you can turn the car door into a flashing light if you wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend that. If you've watched the previous episodes, you should know what to do to be able to make it fit into the car. So I'm not really going to go into depth, but all you got to do is just go to Quad R up here, select the light bar, go to modify, hold shift and drag down so we can scale it all the way down. Make it fit in the car. Now, like I've iterated multiple times in this episode, I am not going for perfection, so I'm not going to scale it to the accurate dimensions. I'm just simply going to put it in the back of the car, make it fit, and show you how to make it work in game. And there we go. The light is in the back of the vehicle. You'll see once you put it past the glass, the lights disappear. To fix that temporarily before we move the materials around, which you'll see soon, you just drag the car below the lights like that, and they should reappear. If you've watched the last episode, you should understand how sirens work and how making the siren works and how to do it into the carcols and how to make patterns. I'll link a video in the description below on how I've done patterns with a Dominator before, how to make custom patterns. It's quite an outdated video, so if you guys would like to see an update to that video, let me know and I'll make one. So all you got to really do, depending on your pattern, you got to set your sirens up. I'm just going to go for a simple back and forth pattern between the red lights and the blue lights. So to do that, we're going to hide everything but the lights, go to our attach tool, and you can use the user view for this if you want to attach it with ease. But to do that first, you want to make sure you go up to these little properties here for this viewport. make sure you have wireframe and outline selected so you can see the wireframe and outline of the mesh, so you know when you're hovering over one and selecting one. So I'm just going to attach all the blues to each other, like so, and all of the reds to each other, like so. If you've done it correctly, you should just have 2 leftover lights in your hierarchy. If you turn them all on off, it should turn the lights that you attached on and off, like so. Now, I'm just going to name this Siren 1 and Siren 2. Now, a very, very essential key bit of information here is that you can use any siren you want. You just have to configure it in the carcols. I've seen a lot of people using this chart that I displayed in my previous episodes years and years ago. You can just dismiss that now. I wasn't very educated on this back then. Yeah, so just dismiss that for now. We are going to be making our own custom carcols. You don't need to worry about that chart that I displayed ages ago. So, I know in the previous episodes we worked on the visors, so you might already have a Siren 1 and 2. If that is the case, you can literally just name it to whichever ones are free. You have 20 sirens, and you cannot go above that, but you don't have to use all 20. So say if you've used Siren 1 and 2 for your visors already, you can just name them Siren 3 and 4. But for this case, I'm just going to keep them on Siren 1 and 2. Okay guys, so now we've named our lights to sirens. We're just going to work on the mesh here, or the housing, sorry. We're just going to attach these 3 components together, and to do that you simply just get your attach tool, which is up at modify and attach. Go to your top window, I'd recommend, and turn everything off but the glass or whatever components you need to attach. And then once you've clicked on the glass and you've got this arrow coming out of it, you can go back down to your hierarchy, click the thing you got to attach, and then attach it like that. Do the same process here, like so. And there we go. If you've done it right and you're following my exact footsteps, you should have Siren 1, 2, and you should have one more thing here, which is the housing, as well as the actual vehicle itself. Now that you've done that, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to show you how to make the light an extra, as it just adds extra steps, and we can cover that on a later episode, or I could upload it to the Patreon. But for now, we're just going to simply name it misc_dominator. The misc literally means miscellaneous, so it's not actually anything important on the car, it's just a miscellaneous item. You can also name the misc A, B, C, D, E, whatever you want, but I prefer to name the misc and then whatever the actual component is. So say if I had a rambar, I'd name it misc rambar. Bear in mind, if you want it to be an extra, do not name it a misc, you have to name it extra, and then whatever extra you have, but again, we are not going to go into that this episode. Okay, so now that we've done that, we are going to turn on these 3 components in the hierarchy. And once we've done that, we are going to reset the axes so they're all central. The way we do that is we first of all make sure we have everything on, or turn on, or ticked, whatever you want to call it, in the hierarchy. So that would be the Misc Dominator, Siren 1 and Siren 2. You don't have to tick the car for now. So just click select up here and click quad R. Once you've selected quad R, simply just go to whatever viewport's easier for you, and just click and drag over the light, the whole light. Make sure it's everything like this. If you've done it correct, these 3 things should appear red boxes instead of grey boxes, and your light should appear red on all your viewports. Okay, now that you've done that, we're going to go over to display and follow these steps very, very precisely, because this was a very, very hard subject for people to understand last episode. So what you do once you have it all selected, you go to reset to pivot helper right here. Once you click that, click anywhere in the window, but do not click on the light, because that can sometimes cancel out the action. So you can click here, and once you've done that, go down to reset to parent, or go up to reset to parent, sorry, click that, click anywhere in the window again, and once you've done that, click here on center local axis to object, and once you've done that, you can click anywhere. If you've done it correctly, you should see that these axes have appeared. Now, what these axes are, they're basically the center, because we centered it, they've put an axis in the center of that component. So this axis is in the center of this. It would be in the middle, but because there's a wire hanging out of it, it's shifted it over to the right a bit. This axis is centered to these lights, as you can see, it's in the center of them. And this axis is in the center of these lights. Now, once we have done that, we need to go to quad R, we need to select the whole light again if it's not already selected. And then we need to go to create and copy. Once you've done that, click anywhere in the window and you'll see that one copy of each has been made down here. Once you've done that, you want to hold Control and click on each of these to select all 3. Once you've done that, right click one of them, hover over Convert to and click on Dummy. If you've done it correct, your screen should look like this now. It should have some big blue boxes over the lights. If you've done that, then you have done it correct. Okay, so now that you have done that, what we have to do, we have to drag the original sirens and misks into the dummies we just made. And that is a very simple process. What you do is you grab the original ones, which should still be in the red boxes like this, and you drag it into the respective dummies. For example, Siren 1, you drag that into Siren 1. Siren 2, you drag that into Siren 2. And Misc Dominator, you drag that into Misc Dominator. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to move the dummies around so the lights do not show once we scale them and put them in game. If they show, it will look poor and it will just have a bad overall outlook on the vehicle. The way we do this is simply we have to hide everything but the dummies for the sirens. So if you've done that correctly, these boxes, grey boxes, should be on. And there should still be 2 blue boxes on the screen. Once you've done that, go to Quad R, which is in your Select tab here. You want to click and drag over these 2 boxes and turn them pink. Now, this is an optional step to see where you're moving your dummies easier. I do this all the time. You do not have to if you don't want to. But if you click on Properties, whilst you have these selected, click on Solid and click Apply, it should make them see-through like that. Once you've done that, you can tick the Misc Dominator mesh so we can see where we are moving the dummies to. So now what we want to do, we want to go to Modify up here, make sure our Move tool is selected and only have the Y axis on so we don't move it around on the X axis because we do not want that. Once we've done that, we are going to go into our top view and we're going to move these dummies back by clicking and holding to about the middle of the actual housing like that. Cool, so now that you've done that, you just want to deselect the dummies. The way you do that is you hold Control, just like selecting, click and drag over the dummies whilst holding left Control, and you'll see they'll go back to blue. If you've done it correctly, you should see that these are in the middle of these houses, of the light housing, and the dummies have been moved back. The dummies are actually the big blue boxes if I haven't already said that. Once you've done that, you can untick your Misc Dominator and your dummies, then you can tick the actual emissive mesh. Once you've done that, go to Select and Quad R, and we're going to select the lights again. Once the lights are selected, go to Display, and then where it says Reset to Parent, you want to just click that and then click Enter in the window. If you've done that correctly, you should see that the axes move back to where we moved the dummies. So if I tick the dummies, you'll see it's in the middle of the dummies. If you've done that, then you have done it correctly. From here, we simply just need to scale down the lights and rotate it. Now, a lot of people had some issues with this last time. A lot of people found it confusing. They had a hard time understanding it. So I'm going to go even slower for you guys because I know a lot of people had some hate in the comments. Oh, you're going too fast, you're going too fast. So I'm going to take this even slower now. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, whilst you have your lights selected, you'll know they're selected if they're red. You want to come down to Pivot and make sure that Pivot on the bottom right down here, make sure that it is off. You'll know it's off because the red box will not be showing. It will be darked. Once you've done that, you want to go up to Properties, which is up here on the top right. Go to Transformation. Click on Scale. Now you should have these 3 options, X, Y, and Z, and they should all say 1. If you've got that, you want to change all of these values to 0.1. Like so. Once you've done that, just click Apply. If you've done it correctly, your lights should get smaller and they should space out like that. Now, what you want to do, you just want to quickly tick Misc Dominator and make sure these lights are inside of the housing, and they are, so that is great. We have done that correctly. Sweet, you can just untick that now, and you should be left with this. Now, here is where turning it around so it faces the rear, environmental lighting and just rear facing lights work, here is how it works. All you have to do, it is very, very simple, okay? You literally just go to your X and Y axes up here, then go to modify, click on rotate, make sure pivot is still not on, click anywhere in the window to bring this box up, and just rotate it by angle 180 degrees. If you've done that correct, you should see that it just flips over basically like that. Once you've done that, you want to just click your misc dominator again to make sure it's still inside the house, in which it is. Awesome. Once you've done that, that is it. We just have to LOD it and it's done. Now, I went over LOD in last episode, so you should not have to do it, but I'll show you again anyway. All you have to do is go back up to structure, up here, it's next to properties. Make sure L0 is not selected. What you want to do from there is click Siren 1, click on the dummy of Siren 1, which is here. Click Convert to Compound, click the lock symbol here, and then click L0. And then simply just drag the Siren 1 mesh into this box here, this panel. If you've done it correct, Siren 1 should be bolded out. It should say default L0. And it should still be locked. From there, simply unlock it by clicking on the lock symbol again. Click on L0 again to deselect it. And then we're going to do the same process for Siren 2. We're going to make sure L0 is not selected. Click on Siren 2, the parent dummy, the master dummy, which is here. Click on Convert to Compound, lock it, L0, drag it into the panel, unlock it, click off L0. You're going to do the same again for the misc dominator. Make sure L0 isn't selected, convert to compound, lock it, L0, drag it into the panel, unlock it, click on L0. Now, if you've done it correctly, they should all be black and bolded out like so. And another way to check if you've done it correct is look at the panel. If all of them say default L0, you have done it correct. From here, we are simply just going to drag it into the chassis so it spawns with the vehicle. To do that, simply just open up the car like this, click on plus, wait for the autosave, and then simply just drag and drop it in between dials and the steering wheel. That's where I usually put it. Now, if it's done correctly, the light bar should be in the back of the vehicle, but the lights should not be showing. If it's like that, you've done it correct. There is one final step we have to do before exporting though, and that is move up the lights emissive material to the top of the hierarchy so we can see it through the glass. Now the way we do that is we come to the top here where this colourful ball is. It's called the material browser. You click on it, it will open this window. Go all the way to the bottom where you will find the lights emissive for your light. From there, simply just drag and drop it all the way to the top, just behind default material, like so. Now that we've done that, we can export it. But if you want to have a custom add-on name, say for a 5M server, or you don't want to replace anything, simply just come here, and where it says Police 2, name it whatever you want. For the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to name it Episode 3. Once you've changed the name of your car, if you chose to do that, simply come up to Export, which is up here, the red arrow hanging out of the paper, and then go to your exports folder where I made it, or somewhere where you can keep track of, and then simply name it the exact same name that you have here. For example, my one will be Episode 3. Once you've done that, make sure you have these settings set, highest only on the export LODs, and make sure you lock your vehicle so no one can gain access to your work. Once you've done that, you should get this little window right down here. You can ignore all of these yellow errors here. It's just complaining about the materials basically. As long as you get this exported highest LOD only or whatever, then you have exported it. But once you've done that, you go back to the name and you just add an underscore high onto the end. Click on export again in the same place and name it Episode 3 or Police 2 or whatever you named it again. But instead of just Episode 3 or Police 2 again, you just want to add an underscore high to the end like that. From there, you can save the vehicle and we can work on the carcols and the YTD. So by now you should know that you need OpenIV for pretty much everything to do with modding vehicles in GTA and just modding GTA in general. So you want to open up OpenIV, you want to open up your export folder where you exported the vehicles, and you want to drag them into OpenIV. From there you also want to import the YTD, which you can find in the vehicle file that we downloaded at the start of the episode. As you can see here, it says YTDs. For the charger, you don't need the plus high, so you can just delete it. I'm going to rename it to episode 3 and drag it in there. Now, if I open up the episode 3 YFT, we should see that the vehicle is there and it's mighty, and the light bar should be in the back, albeit it does not have textures. That is because we have to add the textures to the YTD. We can do this by clicking on the YTD we just dragged into OpenIV. Click on import, go to where you saved your wheel and dominator. For me it was in my assets folder. Click on textures and just import all of these. Click OK. Now if you want to make the blacks look a little bit better, go back to import and click on dinghy black, and then whatever you use, the tier 3 or the lin 6, I'm going to use both, all 3 just for the sake of the video. Click open, and where it says texture format compression, change it to A8RH8B8. Click OK. Now bear in mind what you just done there will dramatically increase the file size depending on what colors and what size the texture is. So do take caution when you do that. So you can click save. And now if we open up the YFT again, we should see that the vehicle is there and the dominator has the textures, which it does. Awesome. Now from here we need to make the metas. So I'm going to test this in a 5M server. I'm not going to show you how to set up the 5M resource or the server. If you want to see something like that, I'll put it on the Patreon and you guys can check it out there. But I am going to show you how to make the car variations and the carcols, because that is the most important part of the lights. Now you know me, I always want to make everything as organized as possible, so I'm going to make a notepad for my sirens and patterns. I have seen this tool been floating around called Siren Tool, but I've never really been interested in it to like check it out or anything. But you guys can check it out if you want to. So what I'm going to do for the siren patterns, we only use 2 sirens, and that was Siren 1 and Siren 2. Now, like I said, I want it to just go back and forth, and we are going to do that. I'm not going to go too in depth of what the 1s and 0s mean, as I did explain it in depth last episode, but all it means is 1 is on and 0 is off. Let me put it here. 0 is off. So let's say when Siren 1 is on, Siren 2 is off, like so. And then when Siren 1 is off, Siren 2 is on. Now, we have to have 32 1s and 0s. It's called a 32-bit integer. So, yeah, we have to basically have 32 1s and 0s. Again, I'm not going to go too in-depth in this because I went very in-depth last episode on this. We're going to just do this up to 32, so that's 8. Oh. That's 16, and that's 32. Like so. Now, what I also like to write next to my patterns is whether I have rotated the sirens or not, which we did. We rotated them by 180, so I'm going to put it there. And what colours they are, I'm pretty sure Siren 1 was red and Siren 2 was blue. Cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our Google Chrome, and we are going to get up a binary to decimal converter. I went through this in my last episode, but I'll also leave a link to this in the description also. All we have to do is copy the 32-bit binary integer, paste it in there, click convert, copy the decimal number, and just paste it here for future reference when we make the carcols. Do the same for the number below, copy it, paste it, copy it, paste it. Cool. So now we have everything we need to get the carcols working. So I'm not going to tell you where to access a carcols file or car variations file because they're very open and easily at hand. So get your hands on one of them and we will go from there. I did leave one in my description last episode. You can go and get them from there. I will leave a link in the description to last episode. Okay guys, so I've got the carcols here, and what we're going to do is very straightforward. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the cheat sheet that I made for a couple episodes ago. It has all the information you really need for delta values and stuff like that, but I'll go over it now. So what we do, Siren 1, we go to Siren 1 here, And what we do, we copy the decimal that we just copied from that website for Siren 1, copy it, come down here to flashiness, and where it says sequencer, just paste the value in there. Do the same thing for Siren 2, so copy it, scroll down to Siren 2, and paste the value in there. Cool. So, in the thing we made here, as you can see, we rotated it by 180 degrees. Now, that means we are going to have to alter the delta value. So, again, go to the cheat sheet that I made, which is right here. It's also in the description below. And what you do, where it says rotate 180, we just simply copy that delta value inside of the quotation marks. And then we go to our carcols and we simply paste it under flashiness and the delta value here. Now, it's already there because this was set up beforehand, but we do the same for Siren 2 and paste it into the flashiness delta under Siren 2. Now that we've done that, the final thing we have to do is set the color values. So Siren 1 is red. If we go to the cheat sheet where the color values, red, so we just copy that. Siren 1. Now to change color values, you can see it here, color value, just paste it in. Siren 2 was blue, so we copy the blue color value and then paste it into the carcols under the color value here, like that. Done. Now, if you want to speed your lights up a little bit, you can change it up here, right at the top, where it says sequence of BPM. Simply just set that to anything around average. I'd say is about 600 to 700. I'm set it to 750 for some speed because I like it when the lights go fast. Anyway, so once you've done that, last thing you have to do is set the ID value up here for the carcols. I'm going to set it to 842179. You can set it to any 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 digit number. Just make sure it is a very random number so it doesn't conflict with other vehicles. So simply just copy that ID and then save it. Once you've got that ID copied, you can go to your car variations that you should have already accessible and ready to work, and simply just paste that number we just copied into the siren settings down here. Whoops. There we go. Click save, and then we can close that. Now, it is all ready to test in game. I'm going to get into game now and show you that it works, so I will see you in game. Okay guys, so now we're in game. Just use whatever spawner you have to spawn the vehicle. My name was episode 3, that's what I called it, that's what I put in the vehicles.meta, that's why I exported it as. So simply just put it in, hit enter, and here we go. The light is in the back, and every click the activation key for your lights, you'll see that the lights are flashing. Anyway guys, if you did enjoy the episode and it did help, please leave a like. This episode took a long time to make. As you can see, we're going on about 33 minutes now. So if it did help guys, please leave a like. Drop a subscription, turn the notification bells on. Did you know that 90% of you aren't subscribed? So let's get that number much lower. Anyway guys, I'm making the customs. Next episode, we are going to go over some more stuff. As of now, I don't actually know what we'll go over. It'll probably be the side runners. Anyway guys, hit the Patreon up, take a look at it, join the Discord with the new link, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.